procrastinating doing something, even though when you're doing it, it's enjoyable. So for example, when I go to exercise, in the time that I'm exercising, I really enjoy it and I feel good and I feel strong, and it's like feels really good to do lots of exercises and get sweaty or whatever. But it's starting that I procrastinate. I get to this point where I'm like, okay, I need to go for a walk, or I need to do a workout, or whatever it is that I'm going to do. But it's just leaving the house or putting my sneakers on or changing into my workout gear that it just takes me, it seems like forever to do. But then when I'm actually doing it, it's fine.
Yeah. So basically, this crucial moment is actually the key to procrastination. So basically what's happening, and this is a really good example that you gave right here, because what we analyze is the fact that you have an action that needs to be done. Okay, your action is, if this is your action, if my hand represents the whole action you need to do, it represents changing yourself, putting your shoes, getting outside, get to the gym, do the workout. Okay, all of this represent during the workout. The thing is, when you're going to be here and you're going to start considering, I need to do the workout here, you're not going to look at just this, which is changing yourself. You're actually going to look at all of it. And because you look at all of it, it seems like a big thing. It's going to take 2 hours, and then I'm going to have to drive, and I'm going to have to make sure there's petrol in my car, and I'm going to have to double check that my membership for the gym is still up and running, and blah, 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 blah. And I have to prepare my bag and all of this and so on. So straight away, you're going to look at something that's going to take you a lot of time. Because of that, you're like, I don't know if I can be bothered doing this. But if you if you just look at this one right here, which is just changing yourself, that's something that takes what? 30 seconds, 2 minutes if you slow, all right? So that's something that's going to take you 2 minutes. Basically, once this is done, the rest will naturally flow. Because once you start the process, the rest will start naturally flowing. If you prefer, it's the same as a locomotive that is at full stop. The hardest part of the process is to get the locomotive to start moving. Once the locomotive starts moving, it's gonna take a long time to get it to stop. Regardless of the speed, it cannot stop instantly. It's actually gonna go before it comes to a full stop. But the hardest bit is the initial spark, if you prefer. And this is that very first thing that we're looking at right here. So the key to procrastination, and this is like, you can call that a boost, an energy boost if you prefer, is you need to use the energy boost at that specific moment. When you're at that specific moment, you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to change myself. Because as soon as you change yourself, the rest will naturally flow. And this is where sometimes people are a bit afraid, is the thing that if they look at all that thing, they tell themselves, I'm never going to have the energy to do all of that. I'm never going to have so much energy to last for 3 hours. In fact, you don't need to have energy for 3 hours. The only thing you need to have energy for is this, and that's it. So using like energy boost at the right moment will create a huge difference with procrastination.
Are there any other tips or tricks that you have used yourself or you've recommended to people that come to get life coaching from you that could help overcome procrastination?
Of course. So one of the first things that we're looking at is their to-do list, whatever they have to do. So basically what we want to make sure is that everything that they're supposed to do during the day, during the week, during the month, to put that on the list, okay, as much as possible. Once they get that on the list, they got everything that they're supposed to do. We want to put that into different priorities. Okay, so you have the top thing priority, the medium, so the top, medium, and low priorities. Okay, in order to establish those kind of priority thing, there's different thing you can use. The name is going out of my mind, but there is like a very simple method, and basically you just have a look at the action you're supposed to do, and you need to ask yourself, is it important and is it urgent? Okay. If it's important and urgent, it goes on your top priority. That's a no-brainer. If it's no important, not urgent, it's going to go in your low priority. Then, if it's important but not urgent, it's going to go in your medium low priority. And if it's urgent but not important, it's going to go on your medium high priority. Make sense? So it actually, like, you can ask yourself, is it important? Is it urgent? And that's going to give you like some things right here. You will be the one that will say if it's important or not. And you will be the one to say if it's urgent or not. It's a very effective method at work, for example, when you have project and deadline and stuff and all of that. But in your personal life, you might not get so strict with yourself, like corporate, how you could be. But it's actually not a bad thing to apply some things at work in your own life. It will definitely help you. So reprioritizing what you're supposed to do will definitely help you on the to-do list. That's the first thing. The second thing that you want to do is about when it comes to defy procrastination, is there is that energy boost that we talk about, you know, that is very important. But it's also like you want to tackle first the unpleasant thing. So when you have a look at your to-do list and you have those 10 things to do and you have that one thing that you know is just such a massive pain to do it first. Do it first. You start your day, you start your first Pomodoro, do it first. If you don't do it first, do it second, but not further than that, okay? So the reason is that if you, I think there's a saying that says eat your frog first. So you want to get like the most difficult thing first, and then the rest will actually be a lot natural to flow. And you're going to be so proud of yourself because you've done that big thing that you're going to be able to move forward a lot more. Also, allocate a deadline, allocate a specific time to say, I'm going to tackle this task within 1 hour or within 2 Pomodoros or 3 Pomodoros if you're using Pomodoros, for example. But you want to set yourself up like a deadline to say that task is going to be done by then, because if you don't, it's going to look like a never-ending task. And that's going to be even another reason to procrastinate as well, is because it's a never-ending task.
I really like what you just said about that, because I've found in the past making to-do lists, doing the most unpleasant one first, and even if that takes all day, even if I haven't done the other tasks on my to-do list, I still feel accomplished and proud that I did the most unpleasant one. Whereas if I'd done all the easy ones and the nice ones first, I would have felt like, well, I still haven't really done anything because I've still got that big unpleasant one that I need to do.
Absolutely. And this is exactly how the brain works. It's about the fact that even you do a lot of things, but they're small and easy, you still have that background noise that tells you, hey, you still need to tackle that thing that you haven't started at all. So as long as you haven't done it, you're not going to feel satisfied and fulfilled. So that's why it's important to start the bigger one first. And also it's about, once you start to become productive, basically you want to try to tackle the biggest one at your highest peak of productivity. That's an important thing, because those big things are difficult to tackle, and we know that. That's why we run away from it and we procrastinate from it. So if on top of that you try to do them when you're not at your top productivity, that's going to be even worse, right? So you want to make sure that when your brain function Formula One, that's when you want to do your biggest thing right there.
Is there a way to change your thinking or change your mindset about what you mentioned earlier on in this video about laziness versus procrastination, and how laziness isn't doing anything but procrastination is doing something instead of the thing that you're actually meant to be doing? I sometimes feel like when I'm procrastinating, if I'm doing something else instead of the thing, I still feel bad about not doing the thing that I'm meant to be doing. Is there a way that I can change my mindset? Because even though I am still doing something, but it's just not the thing that I'm actually meant to be doing, how can I like change my thinking around that?
Well, I think it's about forgiving yourself. It's literally about this. It's the fact that, as you said, although you don't do the big thing that you're supposed to do, you're still doing some things, right? And so you're still taking something out of your to-do list. So In that situation, you kind of need to forgive yourself, to say that, okay, you maybe haven't done that one thing, but on the other hand, you've done 10 other things right here. And so, it's about how you speak to yourself as well. And right here, it's really a matter of perception. You see the glass half full or half empty. In that situation, it seems that you see it half empty, but it's actually half full as well. So it's about, what are you going to tell yourself? Are you going to tell yourself, oh gosh, you're terrible because you still haven't done that big task? Or are you going to tell yourself, well, you've done a pretty good job because you got quite a lot of things done. There's still that big things that needs to be done, but we've been pretty productive so far. The fact is exactly the same. It's just the way you're going to talk about it with yourself. And in the second situation that I just gave you now, you are actually a lot more forgiving with yourself. So because you're a lot forgiving, you're going to start changing your mindset, and you're going to start to become a bit more positive, and this will support you to bring the thing. Now, it's about, if you're not happy with the result, change the action. And that's the thing. If you know that you're never going to be happy if you haven't tackled that big task over there, then tell yourself, I need to change the action that I'm doing. Remember, it's the chocolate cake recipe. If you're not happy with what it looks like at the end, you need to change the ingredient, the order of the ingredient. Well, right here is exactly the same.
That's awesome. Thank you. Is there any other tips or tricks or anything else that you'd like to mention before we finish up today's video?
Well, I think one of the key things of procrastination is to start to acknowledge the fact that you procrastinate. As simple as it sounds, sometimes it is the most challenging thing. So people sometimes they don't acknowledge that they procrastinate, and you gotta say it. You gotta say it out loud. Like, you say, I'm procrastinating and I'm terrible at not doing what I'm supposed to do. So starting to acknowledge it goes back to awareness. You raise your awareness about the thing. Once you address it, you're able to take action on it. So that's important. The second thing is about, why do you procrastinate? Have a look. Why do you procrastinate? What is it that you're procrastinating about? Is there a pattern where you procrastinate for the kind of same thing all the time, or in the same situation all the time, or something like that? And if, for example, you procrastinate every time that you're supposed to go out and meet with some friends, maybe it's because you're not comfortable to meet new people. So maybe you're not comfortable with your self-confidence. So once you start to understand the why, the root cause of your procrastination, you actually can take action around it. And you realize, actually, I have an issue with my self-confidence. I don't feel self-confident when I'm in public. Perfect. Then let's have a coach, or let's have a friend, let's have people that can support me with that, so I can feel more confident, so I can procrastinate a bit less when I need to get out, right? So you need to understand where does that come from. Another thing as well with procrastination is about, whatever you set yourself to do, if it's on your to-do list for too long and you still haven't tackled it, it means that it's not appealing enough for you. It means that the reward is not good enough. It means that if you accomplish it, you're not going to feel proud enough. And there's absolutely nothing wrong about it. Just acknowledge it. And if that's the case, change it for something else. Change it for, like, well, maybe I thought that was my dream to do that. Maybe actually it's not. If, for example, my dream is like, building a business and all of that, and I'm procrastinating, it's maybe because I'm not very enthusiastic by building a business. Maybe there's something else that I'm looking for that I could achieve by not building a business, maybe by doing something else, whatever it is, so it's really about, like, it has to be appealing as well. If the project the outcome that you're aiming for is big enough, you're gonna get yourself moving forward a lot more. Okay, so I think that's about it. Gave you quite a few different tips on how to avoid procrastination. But remember, it's at the end of the day, it's really like a mindset thought, and it's about the reward that you're gonna have for whatever you set yourself to accomplish. But there's nothing wrong with procrastination. There's absolutely nothing wrong, and I want you to forgive yourself for that. is just acknowledge it, and then you can start working on it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sofian, and for sharing all of your amazing knowledge. I know I'll definitely be taking that on board, those tips and tricks, and be a lot kinder and more forgiving towards myself, and know that it is okay to procrastinate sometimes. Thank you everyone for watching this video. We really appreciate you tuning in and giving your feedback. If you have any comments or queries, please let us know below in the comments, or check out Sofian's website, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.